Madam, you are a congresswoman. Shantae's age is like available information. The time of the Africa trip is available information. You could look that up and find out that she was 22.
Did you ever visit Epstein's Little St. James Island?
No.
Little St. James Island? Like, this person, did they just skim the Epstein Wikipedia before this? Like, what's going on here? None of these Congress members are Epstein-brained. Yeah. When do we get our first Epstein-brained member of Congress? Someone who represents me and my friends. Hey, it's the Goblin Queen. Let's take a look at Mr. Hillary Clinton, a guy named Bill. Now, Bill, unlike, Hillary, who's mostly uninvolved, so people have to kind of make shit up about Anthony Bourdain. But Bill Clinton, this guy did hang out with Epstein. This guy's in the Epstein files. Lots of photographs of him with, redacted people. We've known he's on the flight logs. We've known they're friends. We know all kinds of shit. So it makes a lot more sense to interview him than it does to interview his wife, Hillary. Wexner was like, okay, that's a guy who I actually really want to see the deposition of. Acosta, he had a deposition a while back too. There are people that's like, no, let's find out. I'm going to jump ahead to where he gives his opening statement. We'll listen to a little bit of that. How does he, do they ask him? I think they do.
An opening statement?
Yeah, they specifically ask him, you want to give an opening statement? Whereas with Hillary, they were like, do you have any questions? She's like, yeah, I have a question, and it's my opening statement.
Mr. President, do you wish to provide an opening statement?
I do. It's brief. First of all, good morning and welcome to all of you to our hometown. I appreciate you coming here. I'm here today basically for two reasons. First of all, I love my country and the Constitution, and I believe America was built on the idea that no one is above the law, especially presidents.
That is absolutely not what the country is founded on, and you sort of have to be an idiot to think that that's ever been true. No one's above the law, especially presidents? The fuck are you talking about? If anyone is benefiting from the two-tier justice system that everyone knows exists in the U.S., it's the fucking president.
And that we should all live by the same set of rules shaped by the Constitution. Democracy requires every person to play their part, and I hope that by being here today, we can bring ourselves a little further away from the brink and back to being a country where we can disagree civilly and search for the truth and justice, and that outweighs the partisan urge for spectacle and point scoring. I will do my part, and I hope you'll do yours. The second reason I'm here is that the girls and women whose lives Jeffrey Epstein destroyed deserve not just justice, but healing. They've been waiting too long for both. Through my brief acquaintance with Jeffrey Epstein, though it ended years before his crimes came to light, and though I never witnessed during our limited interactions.
I don't think it was a comedian. I think it was actually somebody insulting him. It was a woman, a poet or something, who first called him the first black president. And she was trying to sort of critique him. Toni Morrison. Yeah, Toni Morrison was the first person to call him the first black president. And he was like, oh, that was a great compliment. Oh, wow. I took it as a compliment when my friend Toni Morrison said that. All right, here's an Atlantic article, and it's by Ta-Nehisi Coates. It was no compliment to call him the first black president. In 1998, Toni Morrison wrote a comment for The New Yorker arguing that white skin notwithstanding, this is our first black president. Blacker than any actual black person who could ever be elected in our children's lifetime. And it didn't age great after Obama, but understand thinking that. The popular interpretation of Morrison's point holds that summoning all of her powers, the writer gazed into the very essence of Clinton and found him sufficiently soulful. In fact, Morrison's point had little to do with soul of any kind. She was not much concerned with Clinton's knowledge of Ebonics, his style of handshake, nor whether he pledged Alpha or Q. Morrison was concerned with power. Race has never been about skin color, physical features, so much as the need to name someone before doing something to them. Race is not a sober-minded description of peoples, it is casus belli. What? Dig Morrison's description of Clinton's blackness. Clinton displays almost every trope of blackness. Single-parent household, born poor, working class, saxophone-playing, McDonald's and junk food-loving boy from Arkansas. When virtually all the African-American Clinton appointees began, one by one, to disappear when the president's body, his privacy, his unpoliced sexuality became the focus of the persecution, when he was metaphorically seized and body searched, who could gainsay these black men who knew whereof they spoke? The message was clear. No matter how smart you are, how hard you work, how much coin you earn for us, we will put you in your place or put you out of the place you have somehow, albeit with our permission achieved. Sorry, I fucking emphasized that all wrong. You get the idea. You will be fired from your job, sent away in disgrace, and who knows, maybe sentenced and jailed to boot. In short, unless you do as we say, i.e. assimilate at once, your expletives belong to us. So, yeah, not a compliment. All right, let's get back to the video.
Any indication of what was going on?
All right, who cares? That was his opening statement. You get the idea. I disagree with Epstein. Maybe this will surprise you, but I think this Epstein guy not good. I'm against that Epstein stuff that he did. All right, so here they talk about the trips he took on the jet.
And you mentioned that your first memory of interacting with Mr. Epstein was on your first trip. Which trip specifically?
I'm not sure which one it was. I took all or part of 4 or 5 trips to Asia and Africa and one to Northern Europe. And once when I was in Florida, I was offered a ride back to New York, but I wasn't there it was just coincidental that he was there. And I think that was fairly early in the process, but I don't remember exactly. I just know that I did.
Okay, so here's what he's saying here. 45 trips to Asia, Africa, 1 to Northern Europe, and then 1 ride from Florida to New York. Now that's different from what I had. From looking over the flight logs, I count 2 trips to Europe, 1 trip to Asia, 2 trips to Africa, and 1 domestic. Now, that doesn't quite line up with what he said, right? 1 to Asia, 2 to Africa, that's 3 to Asia and Africa. And he said 4 to 5 trips to Asia and Africa. Now, there was a trip I found not on Epstein's plane, but on Ron Burkle's plane, where Epstein flew with Ghislaine, not Epstein. I don't know if he counts that. But 1 trip to Northern Europe, I believe there's 2. But weirdly, you end up with mine totals to 4, 5, 6, plus the one he did with Ghislaine, which I don't really count. But let's say 6. His total to, I guess, 6 or 7. So his is like a little bit higher than mine, which is interesting for a long time, the only thing we had about from Clinton was like Angel Ureña's like statement that he gave. Hey, this is what happened with Clinton and Epstein, and it only listed like 4 trips total. So now he's at least admitting like up to 7 trips, even if he doesn't seem to be exactly accurate. This is the difference between like Clinton and Hillary, right? Hillary came like prepared. She's like, yes, I did know about this. She was at the wedding, blah, blah, blah. She's given like exact rehearsed answers. You can tell she's like practiced these with her lawyers. Clinton he's like, yeah, I think there was 4 to 5 trips to South Africa, blah, something like that. I don't know. What was it? Yeah, whatever he said. I don't know. I don't see the same amount of prep for him. Anyway.
Florida to New York, and all are part of several other, I think 4 or 5 trips to Africa, Asia, and 1 to Northern Europe.
Yeah, anyway, okay. So there's possibly 1 more than what we thought. So he goes on to say, asking him about other times he met Epstein.
I did go to his house once, as you know.
And we will discuss that further later on today.
That's, I think, the New York house. We have a photo of him in Epstein's house in New York. So I think he's got to cop to that one.
I believe he came to the office once in Harlem.
Came to visit him in Clinton's Harlem office. This is the one meeting that they had that actually we've only ever heard about this from Clinton. It might have been in the files, like an email or something. But this was one thing where he was actually a little bit forthright with the information in that Angel Ureña statement, which is mostly like lies. Yeah, it depends on what your definition of trip is.
It was still housed up there then. And I think he paid a brief visit to the office, and I paid a brief visit to his house. I once thought he was there, but now that I think about it, I don't think he was. And that was it. I mean, I didn't.
So I thought that was weird. He's like, I did visit him in his house once. And I'm just thinking now, I just realized this right now. I don't think he was even there. Now that I think about it, I think I actually broke into his house when he was gone, took a photo with his maid and his butler, and then left. Does that sound right? You guys don't have any pictures of me with Epstein in his house, do you? I don't think that came out, did it? So I think, yeah, no. Let's go with he wasn't even there when I was there. I didn't even know it was his house. I was just drunk, stumbling around New York, and I was like, this looks like a big place. What, that's got to be New York's largest mansion. Let me see what's inside. I'm Bill Clinton, I can get away with stuff like that. People are usually happy to see me. Anyway, yeah, all right. I thought this part was kind of crazy. They're saying, do you know if you're targeted by like a honeypot operation or by foreign intelligence agency?
Do you know if you were targeted at any point?
I don't. Sort of be surprised, but I'm not. I don't know.
Has Huma Abedin ever traveled on Epstein's plane?
All right. Has Huma Abedin ever traveled on Epstein's plane? Very pilled question. Huma Abedin is not on the Epstein flight logs. She's like Hillary's aide, right? She's like Hillary's Doug Band. Doug Band's on the flight logs. Clinton's on the flight logs. Why the fuck would Huma be on the flight logs, right? This is basically like, to me, like this is like a Pizzagate question, Like, was she on the flight logs and did she have a child's face ripped off and put on her own face? But here's how Clinton answers.
If you know. I don't know. She might have taken one of the trips with us, but I don't know.
Like, what? Dude. Like, Huma Abedin's at home watching this with her Rothschild husband. Or no. Sorry, Soros is her husband. Whatever his name is. Alex Soros or whatever. Sitting watching this and be like, Bill, what the fuck? Why would you say that? You know I didn't go on that plane. I'm already married to a fucking Soros. There's all this fucking frazzle drip shit about me. Why you gotta say that shit? Come on, Bill, what the fuck? She was pissed.
Okay, so have you flown on a plane with her?
Several times.
Several times?
Can you say, have you flown on a plane? Any plane?
The Lolita Express.
That's not how you phrased it, though.
What is that when you say that?
Have you flown on the Lolita Express with Jeffrey?
Objection.
Now she's like, have you flown on the Lolita Express with Jeffrey Epstein? You're asking about Huma.
That is.
Have you flown on Jeffrey Epstein's plane?
Oh, and also, did you catch that? He doesn't know what that is. He doesn't even know what the Lolita Express is. Fuck out of here, man. You know what the Lolita Express is. You have to know. If you don't know what the Lolita Express is, I actually think you might be suffering from dementia. Like, you've ridden on it. This is not the first time you've been asked about this. You haven't answered, but you know come on, dude.
With Huma Abedin.
Asked and answered. You may answer again.
I don't remember, but I have phoned. She's been sort of a part of our family for a very long time. So when I went to the Middle East, which I don't think I ever took a plane ride with Jeffrey Epstein, but she would typically go when I did.
So have you traveled with both of them together?
Excuse me, both of whom, Congresswoman?
Of course. Have you traveled?
He keeps asking. You got your answer. What are you doing anyway? Crazy that he didn't just say no. But okay. Yeah, she keeps going. Who is this person? Is this Nancy Mace?
If the staff can please pass out EFTA 0021628.
Passes out. Oh, okay. So she's looking at Epstein's passport.
There's a name on there. Would you be able to read that name to me?
Can you read the name?
Excuse me, Congressman.
Yes.
Will you
can
ask
read
me
the
if
name.
you've ever seen the document before?
Yes. Well, this is evidence, and so I wanted to ask him.
Seen it?
Okay, that's the reason I asked that.
You can ask a question.
Well, I'll be getting to more, but that's the reason I asked that. Okay, my next question for you is, have you ever had contact with an individual by the name of Shantae Davies?
I believe Chauntae that's a distinctive name, and so I think that was the name of one of his flight attendants.
Okay. She's been described on being on a 2002 Africa trip and providing massages. Was she or any other young female on that trip underage at that time?
This is another thing that annoys me. She's asking him about Chauntae Davies. Do you remember her? And he's like, yes, that's a distinctive name. I remember her. She was on the trip to Africa. And he's like, and was she or any of the other women on that trip underage? And it's like, madam, you were a congresswoman. Shantae's age is like available information. The time of the Africa trip is available information. You could look that up and find out that she was 22. Like, you don't need to waste our time with this shit. But this is Chauntae Davies giving Clinton a massage. I believe this is on the Africa trip. She was a victim of Epstein's. Brought her on the trip with him. She gave Clinton a massage at an airport. All of that I think is kind of weird, but 22 is not underage, and she has talked about it and said it was just a massage. There wasn't anything inappropriate, beyond what you see in these photos. So, it just seems like it's just a bizarre question to ask. Don't you think if she was underage that a lot more people would talk about these photos?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Did you ever receive a massage or have physical contact from her or anyone else on that trip?
You've seen the pictures. There was one time when I was sitting up and I got a back rub, a neck rub.
Okay.
And I think Chauntae did it, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Did you ever visit Epstein's Little St. James Island?
No.
Little St. James Island? Like, is this person, did they just skim the Epstein Wikipedia before this? Like, what's going on here?
We have Virginia Guffrey, who has testified seeing you on the island with two young girls. Did this occur at all? Okay. And why do you think she would have made that claim?
Objection, speculation. He can't.
This is another thing they love to do. It's like, somebody said this shit about you, and then they're like, oh, but that's not a question. I gotta make a question. Why do you think they did that? And then the lawyer keeps coming. It's speculation, blah, blah, blah. None of these Congress members are Epstein-brained. Yeah. When do we get our first Epstein-brained member of Congress? Someone who represents me and my friends. Anyway, gang. Yeah, it's just like, it's frustrating because the questions are pilled, but they're stupid. Like, they're dumb. Yeah, she mixes up Sarah Kellen and Sarah Ransom. I don't know. Let's go 13206.
The New York Post reported that you and Miss Maxwell had dinner at a New York City restaurant called Nello's.
All right. And I think this is a Democrat. interviewing him at this point, I believe. And this is a good question because, yes, him and Maxwell, they were rumored to be dating. They apparently, like, they went out to a public, like, date or something like that. A restaurant called Nello's. There's, like, a few articles about this.
Do you have any specific recollection of that dinner?
No, how did I know? I didn't. Nor do I remember the article.
So moving into 2002, you touched on this in the previous round. It sounds like there were two meetings. We don't have exact dates for them, but one of them.
Do you think Rashida's listened to any TrueAnon episodes? Maybe. Yeah, because she actually seemed to know what she was talking about when she interviewed Wexner. But I don't think she interviewed either of the Clintons, which, like, if I were her, I would have wanted to at least interview Bill Clinton. But yeah, I mean, Wexner is much more of a player in the Epstein stuff than either of the Clintons, especially Hillary.
And was at your office in Harlem with Mr. Epstein. The other was at Mr. Epstein's home in New York City. Could you just repeat for us, what do you recall about each meeting, maybe starting with your office in Harlem?
Yeah, so we've heard about the Harlem meeting that they had, but we didn't know what it was about. So let's hear.
Remember that sometime in 2002, I think, he paid a visit, and he had become, I think it was either after or just before we started the flights, but he obviously was going to be a serious supporter of the foundation, and I think he paid a visit. I was flattered he wanted to see my office. I liked it.
And then the meeting.
Yeah, is it crazy to say Clinton might not have been a client of Epstein's trafficking? I don't know. I wouldn't say it's crazy to say at all. There's no smoking gun evidence, you know? It's not like something with a guy like Just Staley or something like that. Like, we don't even really have like direct specific allegations. We have Virginia saying that she witnessed him walking off to a cabana with two young looking girls, one under each arm. I personally think that he was. I think he was. I would, if I were a betting man and it were possible to make bets on this sort of thing, I would bet that he was. But I mean, yeah, we don't have any incontrovertible evidence of it. I think he for sure would have had to have known what was up, and he would have had to have known there were underage girls around. Like I don't know. I personally, I don't give this guy a lot of benefit of the doubt. Maybe I should more, but I do. I think he knew about it. At the very least, him and Trump, I think Trump slightly looks, maybe more than slightly. I think Trump is definitely more guilty than Clinton is. At least from what the evidence that I've seen, I think Trump is more likely to be guilty, I should say. But both of them, I think, for sure knew about what was going on. They must have, right? He went over to his New York house. He would have seen the photos and of all the underage girls and everything up on these pictures. Like, yeah. Trump has actual allegations against him, 3 at this point. Like, you mean from the Epstein files? Some of that is Katie Johnson, right? I should look into that stuff. Maybe that could be a stream.
And then the meeting at his home in New York City. Did I hear you say in the previous hour that Mr. Epstein was not actually there?
I said that when I wrote my book and talked about it, and when I've talked about it in the past, I realized I talk as if he were there, and of course he was there. And I started trying to picture the nice man on the staff that showed me around, and now I'm just being honest, I don't remember whether he was there or not.
Why would you be there if he wasn't there?
But
you were just going to hang out with Jojo Fontanella? All right. There are things that Clinton should be asked about. I think one of them, speaking of his book, he brings up there, in my book, when I wrote about it, he's trying to sound like he's been open and talking about this. He said fucking nothing about Epstein for almost the entire period of time since he stopped hanging out with him up until today. Aside from the one paragraph statement that his chief of staff, Angel Urania, has been putting out, giving anytime someone's got questions about it, they just get that same statement since 2019. He put out a book recently where he just kind of says, I did not know anything about Epstein being bad. I thought he was all good. And now that I know he's bad, I think he's really bad. Just there's nothing there. But one thing that I would like to ask him about, and if you watch my video on Clinton and Epstein, I end it with zooming in at one statement in his book about Epstein where he lies. He makes a provable lie about Virginia Giuffre and what she claimed about him being on the island, or he sort of says, she later admitted that she didn't even know if I was there or not. Or she hadn't been there when I was there. She had only heard I was there. This is completely not true. He's twisting her words where she says she wasn't on the helicopter with him to the island, but she does say she was on the island with him. And she said that not only in an interview with the FBI. She said that in her book that she wrote. She said that on Twitter. She said that in multiple places. And yet Clinton, in his book, lies on her name. You know, this is a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, one of the like most prominent people who've spoken against him. And Clinton completely misconstrues her words to benefit himself in his first actual public statement about the events that isn't done by his fucking, chief of staff. Now, no one asked anything about that shit. Nobody had asked that question. That would be one that I would give, because like we know Clinton lies. He lies easily. He will lie to you right up until the moment that he's caught in something, and then he will acknowledge only up to the point that like he's been caught at. He's a liar. He's so similar to Trump, right? In a lot of ways. But nobody asked him about that. No, I guess nobody's seen my video. And they gave him a lot of questions that are easy for him to be like, I don't remember. I don't even think he was there when I was at his house. I don't know. I don't quite remember that. I think I don't remember that at all. No, sorry. I just don't remember that. Don't remember. Not that I was aware of. But like, that's something that like you did that like a year ago, Anyway, I would love to ask that shit. Yeah, someone should ask about Maria Farmer's claims about visiting Epstein's townhouse and Maxwell saying they needed a lot of girls. Yeah. She said that how it's happening in like, 94 or whatever, when Clinton was president. They thought that he was coming over. The president's coming. Oh, we need lots of girls. So like we were saying before, we don't have any solid proof, smoking gun evidence that this guy was a client of Epstein, as in he was having girls trafficked to him or women trafficked to him. We don't have that. But come on now. We know what kind of guy Clinton is, right? We know Clinton. Everybody knows Clinton. This guy is like Trump. This guy has multiple accusations. This guy has allegations, right? Even when he was running for president, he already had the Jennifer Flowers thing where he had been carrying on like a affair for a decade with this, night, lounge singer woman, Jennifer Flowers. Nothing wrong with being a lounge singer, by the way. That's cool. I love it. I love that type of music, and I total respect to that profession. But I don't know. Like he's always been like this. He complained once when he was in office that it wasn't as easy to get away with affairs while you were president as it was during JFK's time. Like this guy if this guy met a guy who was like, yeah, come to my island. We'll get you there on a helicopter. There'll be absolutely no trace of you ever being there. No one will ever find out. You can do whatever you want. I'll bring the girls. Like, I think he would have gone for it. So I guess a lot of my logic here is not based on evidence so much as it is based on my own gut feeling about how Bill Clinton would have reacted to what Jeffrey Epstein almost certainly would have at least offered him. But I guess that's not a court admissible evidence here. But yeah, I did notice there's a few times where people would ask him questions during this and they'd sort of really butter him up and be like, it's an honor to be speaking to you today, sir. You're a magnificent president. People think of you as a really smart guy. You've got a mind like a steel trap. You remember everything. You're super smart. Now, do you remember meeting Epstein? Like, then they would get into their Epstein question and he would be a lot more like, yeah, I am pretty smart, aren't I? Yeah, I think I do remember that. Like if you butter him up a little bit, I feel like he kind of responds to that. I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit of his Trump thing. He does talk about Trump. Speaking of, let's go to 156. Here you.
In the Epstein documents. And so to get more information for this investigation, was wondering if you also agree that President Trump should answer questions of this committee.
That's for you to decide, but he did know him well, and I once had a brief discussion with him about it.
Thank you. Thanks for the answer.
I once had a brief discussion with Trump about Epstein. Okay, that's interesting.
With that, I'm going to go to Mr. Walkinshaw, and we'll go down a series of questions.
Also crazy that they didn't ask a follow-up question to that. I had a brief discussion about Epstein with Trump. Great, thank you. And I am done. I got no further questions, Your Honor. But Clinton actually speaks up here.
I hate this, but because I don't believe I should inject anything. But I do not want to leave the impression, but since there was no follow-up question, the president never, this is 20-something years ago, never said anything to me to make me think he was involved in anything improper with regard to Epstein either. He just didn't. He just said we were friends, and then we had a falling out over a land deal, property deal. That's all.
Good, thank you.
Could I ask very briefly, Mr. President,
Sure.
if you recall, what were the circumstances of that conversation, or at least let's start with when did the conversation occur?
It was on his golf course, and
Mar-a-Lago.
there were a couple of years there when Joe Torre, who had been the manager of the Yankees and was a friend and had a tournament, a charity golf tournament, called appropriately for this investigation, the Safe at Home Foundation.
Why would that be
And it
appropriate?
was designed to combat domestic violence, of which Joe Torre had been a victim as a child. And so I wanted to support it. And so he did.
Oh, that's so nice that you did that to support domestic violence. Isn't it crazy how, like, the Clintons, all of their best friends are, like, billionaires and, you know, like, incredibly wealthy people. These guys are, he has a separate golf course in Palm Beach? Oh, okay. Interesting. But, like, Trump is one of those guys, like, Trump is the type of guy that Bill Clinton would have loved to hang out with. Like Ted Waits, like one of their best friends, brought him to their daughter's wedding. Like they love these, and when they talk about them there, they're always like, and they really care. They have this charity. Same way Hillary talked about Ted Waits and the other one. Like, oh yeah, he's got this charity, does a lot of good work. Oh, he helps us with this, he helps us with that. You know, Epstein. Oh, the whole thing with Epstein is he was helping us with charity. We needed his help we needed to use his plane to go to Africa. And it's like, I sort of think that maybe you guys just like hanging out with billionaires. I feel like that's kind of like your set now. And it has always kind of been your set. You guys are like, you guys want to be in the power elite, you know? Hillary and Bill Clinton, they didn't necessarily like grow up extremely rich, but they made their way into that class. And I think that should be disqualifying. I don't think that you should ever want someone to lead you if they're a billionaire or if all of their friends are billionaires, because they will have policies that benefit them like Clinton and Hillary did. Clinton did so much for the fucking billionaire class. It's crazy. You know, all this fucking shit with like loosening restrictions on trade, international trade. Like Bill Clinton did, like the fucking power elite completed one of their main goals in the 90s under Clinton to trying to get as much trade open with China, with everywhere, all international business, you know, releasing all restrictions on that. And Clinton just did everything they wanted. Fucking did so many fucking cuts on Social Security. It's completely insane fucking shit this guy did. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's bad. I think that's like kind of like a real conspiracy. Judge someone by the fucking company that they keep, you know? And this guy's like best friends after the fucking presidency were Jeffrey Epstein, Ron Burkle, and what's the other guy's name? Steve Bing. These three fucking billionaire perverts with private jets. Anyway, this guy sucks. Oh yeah, the recent clip of Trump saying how much he likes Clinton, like the one where he's like, I didn't want him to get questioned or whatever. Quite insane. Yeah. I thought that was interesting that they were hanging out. What else we got? Oh, Lauren Boebert. Lauren Boebert has a section. Let's do it.
Wonderful. Hello, Mr. President. How are you?
Boebert.
Good. Thank you so much for being here with us.
For being hoarse.
Oh, you're fine, Mr. President.
Lauren Boebert has the vibes of like the dumbest kid in your class stands up to ask like a really long question that number one doesn't make sense, but you can sort of tell what they were going for. But even if they had asked it in a way that made sense, it's not a question that ever needed to be asked. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of a specific person from my high school, but
make my questions as quick and as painless as possible so we can move on with the day and
it's not likely.
Hopefully not keep you here for too long. First,
she's so much nicer to him than she was to Hillary, though.
Question I have for you, Mr. President. Have you ever lied in a deposition?
No.
Have you ever lied while under oath?
No.
Thank you.
No. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Seems like you did, though.
Were you personally aware that Jeffrey Epstein visited the White House 17 times during your presidency?
At the time it happened?
Yes.
No, at the time it happened, I was not.
So Jeffrey Epstein never asked to meet with you personally in the White House while you were president during those 17 visits?
Not to my knowledge.
Not a bad question, actually.
Would you know who he was meeting with?
No.
Okay,
I
well,
didn't know he was coming.
is that standard protocol for the president to not know of someone who is attending?
Yeah, he didn't he admit to lying under oath, or because there's a whole thing where he was like, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Well, okay, but I don't consider it sexual relations. I don't consider a blowjob sexual relations. So I think it's only sexual relations if I get her off. She just got me off. It was basically like I masturbated and she happened to be there and she was like my hand kind of thing. But I don't consider that sexual relations. Like wasn't that his argument? I thought at some point he admitted that he had lied under oath, because that's definitely the common perception. Okay, he was accused of lying under oath during a deposition related to a sexual harassment lawsuit filed by Paula Jones. This isn't even to do with Monica Lewinsky. Oh, sorry, it is. Right, because it started as that was what Ken Starr was originally investigating, was a sexual harassment lawsuit by a different person when he accidentally stumbled into the like Linda Tripp tapes of Monica Lewinsky being like, oh my God, I'm in love with the president. This led to impeachment by the House of Representatives on charges of perjury, although he was later acquitted by the Senate. So did he not have to? I thought that he admitted that he lied. Perjury, let's see, perjury. Oh, there's a lot of accusations of perjury. Clinton agreed to a 5-year suspension of his Arkansas law license and to pay a $25,000 fine as part of an agreement with independent counsel Robert Wright to end the investigation without the filing of any criminal charges for perjury or obstruction of justice. So doesn't that mean, okay, so he settled out of court. He settled out of court over whether or not he lied under oath. That's crazy that this motherfucker can go around, be under oath again and say, no, I didn't lie under oath. No, I just gave $25,000 to Robert Ray for no reason. What do you mean? Yeah, no, I'm a generous guy. What are you talking about? It's not because I lied. If I lied, don't you think I would have been indicted by the Democrats in the fucking Senate? I fucking hate this guy. Look at this, Article 1, perjury. And then look at the votes. 0 Democrats voted guilty, 45 voted not guilty. 45 Republicans voted guilty, 10 voted not guilty. Wow, that's kind of nuts. And wow, this one too, obstruction of justice. 45 Democrats voted not guilty, and then Republicans were split 50-5. So it ended up being exactly split 50-50, literally. What the hell? Anyway, I thought that he admitted it, but maybe not. Maybe he didn't admit it, and maybe he doesn't have to. So much for his whole fucking thing at the beginning where he's like, and I think everyone should be equally accountable to the law, especially presidents. And it's like, you don't think that. You don't think that's true.
Visiting the White House 17 times.
So wait, excuse me, just to be clear.
While you were president.
The White House office, which has 1,600 employees, you're speaking of the White House office? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I think that most
right.
presidents.
So, that's a decent question, but obviously he's not going to answer it. I'm going to skip ahead to here because actually I thought this was a very good question from Boebert. I think it's Boebert.
Of you? Did he request you to introduce him? And one regarding this exhibit 15, this portrait. To the right of this image, there appears to be a plain letterhead document that is framed in a gold frame. Are you familiar with...
That he's testified that he's not seen this picture?
The painting we asked, yes. And now I'm asking about the image next to it. So
are you asking whether...
They do mention Mark Middleton, and they talk about Mark Middleton's suicide. I think that the Clinton body count conspiracy theory is kooky, and I don't think there's much to it. But goddamn, the guy does know a lot of people who committed suicide or died mysteriously. And it comes up a lot in this deposition. I'm not going to play you all the clips, but they'd be like, do you know this person? And he's like, yeah, he passed away. He committed suicide. It's really sad. He says that about Mark Middleton. And the guy's like, committed suicide. And do you know, he actually hung himself and he was shot in the chest. And the gun was found like very far away. He hung himself on an extension cord. And he's like, yeah, I heard about that. And he's like, do you think that was suicide or do you think there was foul play involved? He's like, I don't know. I don't think so. But yeah, he's a friend of mine. Very sad. Anyway, it just keeps coming up. People keep bringing up, and this guy, he's like, yeah, he passed away as well. And sometimes it's not even them bringing it up. Sometimes he'll bring it up. And I talked to this guy about it. He also died, passed away a few years ago. And it's like, goddamn. I guess he is, to be fair, he is like, what is he, 79 years old? But still, we're talking suicides. Anyway, yeah, maybe Lauren did see your stream. Yeah. So they asked about this. Sorry, okay, I got distracted by the Mark Middleton stuff. But yeah, I was glad that they asked this because I feel like, yeah, we've been like the only people who care about this. I never see people talk about this.
Are you familiar with...
That he's testified that he's not seen this picture?
So she shows him this image. And she's like, there's a thing in a frame on the wall there. And he's already answered a bunch of questions about the famous dress picture, right? He's already answered a bunch of questions about this. So you can see Cheryl Mills there. Also, friend of Epstein, or Maxwell at least, chiming in. He's already answered these questions. And Boebert's actually like not talking about that.
The painting we asked, yes. And now I'm asking about the image next to it. So
are you asking whether or not he's familiar with what's in this small frame?
So this small frame, this has been a fucking personal like hyperfixation. I feel like the whole key to the Epstein case is in this fucking thing. So just to catch you guys up to speed, if you're new to this whole theory, what you're looking at here is a photograph taken from the entrance. You walk into Epstein's house in New York. You walk up the stairs. You open a door. There's another staircase, but you don't go all the way up the staircase. To your right, there's a door that opens. You go into that door. You immediately see this painting. It's like hung up right across from the door, and you walk in. You turn to your right, and you're looking at an array of monitors with two little desk chairs there, and there's a window with a curtain on it. That's one of the two windows right on either side of the door to Epstein's mansion in New York. Anyway, this is like the room where you'd have guys sitting in this room monitoring the security cameras on all of these things. Maria Farmer described this as she saw this one time. Epstein showed it to her, and she described looking at the monitors as it was like toilet, bed, toilet, bed, toilet, bed. She's like, oh, okay. I'm not going to go to the bathroom in this place. Like, this is weird. This is the blackmail room. So it's like a sketchy ass room. And when you enter the room, you're confronted with this picture. It's called Parsing Bill. It's the name of it. It's a painting where Bill Clinton is wearing Monica Lewinsky's famous blue dress. That was a piece of evidence in the trial. And so this is what you see. And then right next to it, all right, right next to it is this. Now this is, so we have gone over this ad nauseum. There's a few different pictures of it, a couple different angles. There's a 727 letterhead there, which I think Steubens, I think it was you, Steubens, who found this, right? I just picked this out of the Discord the other day. But this is from the Palm Beach house raid by the FBI, or was it the Palm Beach police? It probably says somewhere on here. But one of the things they found was 727 letterhead. So it seems like this was like something that belonged to Epstein. Like this was Epstein's letterhead, and he got Bill Clinton to write a letter to him. Now you might wonder, why am I so sure that this note is from Bill Clinton? Well, number one, it's hanging up right next to this picture of Bill Clinton. Okay? So already I feel like I should have had you convinced, and you shouldn't have needed this extra piece of evidence. But for those of you who are real skeptics out there, I was able to find this all by myself. This is from the birthday book, and this is Bill Clinton's letter in the birthday book. So check this out. Jeffrey, happy 50th. It's reassuring, isn't it? To leave... Oh, what the hell does that even say? It's reassuring, isn't it? To leave so long. All the years of learning and knowing, adventures and effort, and still to have your childlike curiosity, the drive to make a difference, and the solace of friends. So now look at this, right? So we've got a couple things here. First of all, the way it starts, Jeffrey hyphen, okay? Secondly, the way it ends, Bill Clinton. Like you can sort of see almost the B on Bill, right? It's kind of like that big with the line. Very similar to how he writes Bill over here. And also the way somebody's pointed out in this, that left-right writing slant. Yeah, so each line gets a little bit further to the right on both of them. Now, they're not the same note. They look really similar, but they're not the same note. This one has more lines in it. This one actually looks like it has like 2 paragraph sections. You know, this one is the birthday book. This is just, you know, a blank thing, whereas this one has like 727 thing in the top, but it's by him. Now, the problem is this one's blurry as fuck, and this one is not blurry, but still really hard to read. So even if it wasn't blurry, we probably still wouldn't know what it says. Now, I think Mark, or was it Finland? One of you guys found this. This is from an article, I think New York Times. At some point, Mr. Clinton appears to have handwritten a thank you note to Mr. Epstein on stationery that Mr. Epstein kept on one of his planes. The Times obtained a photo of the undated note, which was framed and recovered from Mr. Epstein's estate. In it, the former president thanked the financier for letting him invade your private space and explained that he had been exhausted and had to get away from the crowd. He also wrote that, as we forge ahead, I'll finally figure out the financial stuff. All right, so all of that seems like super relevant. Obviously, there's much more in the note than just those lines. I assume those are probably the most interesting lines, but it's like Epstein had this up in his house to prove to people, he's my friend. Look how he says, like, we're going to figure out the financial stuff. Like, he was like, you have a lot to teach me. Sorry for invading your personal space. Blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, thanks for letting me hang out in such a intimate environment kind of thing, right? Like, this note paired with this painting really sends a message. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I was shocked to hear Boebert, after she grills Hillary about fucking frazzle drip, asking Clinton about something that, like, yeah, like, I actually do want to know about that. Cheryl Mills, who I'm guessing doesn't even, probably no one knows about this shit, other side from, like, you know, us and, like, Lauren Boebert. Let's hear.
Are you asking whether or not he's familiar with what's in this small frame?
I'm the part that you have covered up.
This part?
I'm asking if he's familiar with this letterhead letter that was...
The letterhead. Don't know. What the fuck are you talking about? The letterhead 727, we know that that's from the plane.
Part of the painting?
No, sir. This is next to the painting, and it's framed on the wall. in the home of Jeffrey Epstein. I guess a better way to ask, other than the birthday note that was passed around here today for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday, Mr. President, did you ever handwrite Jeffrey Epstein any other notes?
And then she's off it. Did you ever handwrite him any other notes? Which we know he did too. He wrote a get well note to his mother.
Well, I wouldn't remember except that I've seen a picture recently of another note where I thank him for getting me away from the crowd on the airplane for a while so I could take a nap.
Yeah. That was a framed note. I mean, he was exhausted, had to get away from the crowd. So we have like a little bit more details on it now, though. You wanted to take a nap on the plane. Thank you for letting me invade your personal space. So also in this testimony, I didn't write down the thing, but they mentioned that there was a bed on the plane. And did you know about the bed? I think I saw the bed, but I never slept in it or lied down in it or was in there with anybody. Used the bed myself. Seems like he did use the bed, according to that note. All right, now there's another fun thing. So like I didn't even catch this stuff, but Mark did a lot of work on this, and Finland did a lot of work on this one. So interesting to hear Clinton's perspective on this. Let's just check it out.
So this is pretty short. This is an email from Doug Band to.
Yep, I'm familiar with it.
To Gmax, which is commonly known as Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yep.
Doug Band and Ghislaine Maxwell pictured here. Doug Band was, of course, the personal assistant, bagman, whatever, like really close aide to Bill Clinton. Doug Band basically helped Clinton launch his like post-presidential career, like Clinton Foundation, all that shit. Doug Band was like major part of. And here he is with Ghislaine Maxwell. Doug Band's on, I think, all or almost all of the flight logs with Bill Clinton every time he was flying on Epstein's jet. Band's also kind of famous for helping Clinton disguise his affairs.
It says, for the record, the email states, "You back? Another way to get in touch with me quicker is on my Blackberry, actually the president's, but we share it."
All right, before we get into this is from a interview with Ghislaine Maxwell like ages and ages ago. I think this was in the Maxwell versus Giuffre case. So there are some redacted names here, but they did a really bad job redacting them where you can easily figure out who each person is because they didn't redact the index. There's an index where it has a bunch of people's names. They were redacted names in the index, but you can tell from alphabetical order, oh, this must be Clinton, this must be Doug Band, this must be whatever. And it tells you what page numbers, and you can go to the page numbers, and with context, you can figure out who's who. Anyway. So I can tell you for like 99% sure, the question is, do you know who Doug Band is? I do. How do you know him? He used to or still works for Bill Clinton. Did you ever have a relationship with him? Ghislaine says, we are talking about adult consensual relationships. It's off the record. Like, it doesn't sound like they're asking, like, did you guys used to fuck? It sounds like they're just like, did you talk? Did you have a relationship with him? Right? And she's like, oh, that's a consensual adult thing. It's off the record. I'm not asking what you did with him. I'm asking if you ever had a, Maxwell, confidential relationship with him? Mr. Pagliuca, if you understand the term relationship, certainly you can answer that. Define relationship. Somebody that you would have spent time together, either seeing them in a romantic relationship, or you need to be, what do you mean by romantic? I was friends with Doug, but you are suggesting something more. So I want to be clear what you're actually asking me. And then, then Pagliuca is like, okay, you defined it. That's all I need to know. You said you were friends with him. If that's what you were, that's great. Like, he's like, I'm not asking you about the thing. It's like one of those things where it's like when you're trying to hide something and you're just doing a really bad job of hiding something because you think you're being caught with something you haven't been yet. Like your wife is like, hey, you came home a little bit late last night. He's like, but I wasn't cheating on you. What do you mean? You know, it's like, what? Nobody said that you were. What do you mean? It wasn't with your sister. What? Why did you even think that? I didn't think that before. You know, like that's the vibes here. Where it's like, seems like you guys did have a relationship then. Methinks the lady doth protest too much. Anyway, so they got a message from Doug Band to Ghislaine Maxwell saying, yeah, you can contact me on the president's Blackberry. So just if you want to contact me, yeah, just send messages to the president's Blackberry. The WJC, William J. Clinton.
The email that's listed there, WJC, is that your email address? Or was that your email address?
Practically, no. That is, I never sent one email on it.
So this is kind of nuts, but also maybe believable. I'm not totally convinced that Clinton never had a romantic relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell. There's been rumors around that for a while. There are tons of messages on the William J. Clinton like email with Maxwell where it seems like they're fucking, right? whoever's on this email is like, oh, I'm tied up at work today, not like I was last night, tee-hee, or whatever. Like they're flirting with each other. They're calling each other Booboo. Booboo is their nickname. Like if you just search Gmail for Booboo, you'll find all of these. Booboo is the key phrase. But then some of them, it really does appear that she's not talking to Clinton. She's talking to Doug on Clinton's email. And this is what Clinton's saying. He's like, I don't use email. I don't like email. So here's some examples from Maxwell to WJC. My dearest Douglas, I've just returned from yet another round of doctor's visits. I'm afraid the situation's serious. Nothing short of a sighting of you, followed by an embrace, will save me. I shall be arriving in New York, Tom, coming with Philip, and shall accompany him to your party, Tom night. Take pity on me, your very own Booboo Gix. That's Ghislaine Maxwell's fun thing. No, I never wanted this information either, HBP Music, and yet I am burdened with it. The only way to make myself feel better is to tell all you guys about how these guys were definitely fucking. All right, let's continue. Oh, Booboo, from Maxwell. I am in Palm Beach. We came back from the island for a few days, and I may come to New York, Tom. Are you around? I'm very ill and require immediate medical attention. I'm suffering from booboo-itis, a very serious condition. Without a booboo fix, the symptoms become very pronounced. A withdrawn, faraway look, frequent sighing, prone to cries into the night that sound like Shakespeare sonnets that sound like this. Oh, Douglas, wherefore art thou, Douglas? Not a sonnet, that's just a quote from Romeo and Juliet. Ghislaine, a sonnet is a specific type of poem. That isn't a sonnet. And it isn't even iambic pentameter because you've thrown off the meter of the line by changing Romeo to Douglas. What the hell's your problem, Ghislaine? I know you're bad, but this is past the line. Okay, well, that is it for the Douglas soap for this week. Kisses, your very own Booboo. And then this is from Doug. I miss my Booboo. Oh, what else we got? We got more. This is from Gmax to Doug. I'm here in New York. Would love to head together. J.E. did not leave for Paris, so he's here too. And wants to see you too, solo. So popular you are, let me know. And then Doug Band says, love it, baby. Redacted, in chap all day. Could see him tomorrow afternoon, maybe later, and maybe a late lunch with you. How long you here? Gmax. Have no plans today at all, so I'm free whenever you are. Should be here most of the week. The thought of seeing you is getting me way excited. Wow. Can't today, in chap, baby cakes. Good tomorrow. You really see the kind of power imbalance here between Ghislaine's writing all these long, flowery, like, oh, I have booboo-itis. The only cure is a direct administration of booboo to the head, or whatever. And then he's like, wow, okay, see you soon. Bye, or whatever. Okay, now this one's interesting, though. This is from WJC, William J. Clinton, to Gmax. By the way, the social matchmaker part is pretty right on. I would have told them that you are my pimp, but at the same time, you are my lover. All right. That's from the William J. Clinton email account, which it does seem like was being used by Doug to like grossly flirt with Ghislaine Maxwell. So I think we can assume this is probably Doug, right? But like, you know, knowing what we know about Ghislaine Maxwell and all these girls and, you know, Epstein, like this whole network, like a lot of girls would get trafficked. Like we look at Anushka DeGiorgio and how she was trafficked to Trump. This is all like out in the open now. This is like, Anushka talks about it and there's tons of evidence. She was like, Epstein wasn't specifically involved in trafficking her to Trump. It was Ghislaine. Ghislaine was the person who was like, you're going to meet Trump. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. So it seems like I would have told them that you were my pimp. This is from Doug Band, probably, to Ghislaine. I would have told him that you were my pimp, but at the same time, you're my lover. Seems like Ghislaine's hooking him up with women, right? Social matchmaker, like, you are my pimp and my lover. It does seem like he's fucking her and he's having girls or women trafficked to him. And this is in 2002. This is before the Epstein's arrest and even the investigation. This is the time period when Epstein was involved with a lot more underage girls, right? This is a bad time to be sending an email like this. Anyway, so they're asking about that. There's your context.
So this is pretty short. This is an email from Doug Band to...
Yep, I'm familiar with it.
To Gmax, which is commonly known as Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yep.
It says, for the record, the email states, you back. Another way to get in touch with me quicker is on my Blackberry, actually the president's, but we share it. The email that's listed there, WJC, is that your email address? Or was that your email address?
Practically, no. That is, I never sent one email on it.
But you recognize that.
I recognized it, and I think Doug thought it would increase his cachet if he had an email with WCC on it. And
But he's asking you, is this your email, Mr. President?
no, I didn't send her emails on it.
Did you share a BlackBerry with Mr. Band?
Well, he says we did, but I think I finally got another Blackberry.
But this was back before. Okay, sorry. Mr. President, this is back in, think of the year, look at the year, so you make sure you're answering the question.
2001.
Did you have a phone in 2000? He's asking you, was this your BlackBerry, or did you share this BlackBerry with him?
Well, I'd been out of office then 9 months.
Did you have a phone, Mr. President?
I don't think I did. Anyway, but the truth is I don't remember. I just know that I did not email.
Yeah. Doing this on the president's email is insane. I mean, like, you gotta hand it to Doug Band for that. Running game on Ghislaine Maxwell on the president's email account while you're working for him and starting the fucking Clinton Global Initiative and shit. That's crazy. That's absolutely nuts.
Do you send emails? Or did you send emails?
Have you ever sent an email, Mr.
Have you ever sent an email is the question.
President?
I sent one email to John Glenn, Senator John Glenn, when he was in space at age 77.
Just
and
one.
I sent an email to the men and women aboard a U.S. ship in the Adriatic during the Kosovo War.
Have you sent any other emails, Mr. President? He's asking.
Since then, I'm not sure I've sent one.
Okay.
Sounds like Bill Clinton is saying to us, in his entire life, he sent 2 emails. Sent 2. I mean, maybe that's true, but that's crazy. That's really weird. If I was single and had access to a former president's email, I'd be hitting up the ladies. Wouldn't we all? Oh, there's a weird moment. He's talking about how, like, there's some lawyers who do sneaky law stuff to help traffic children or, people into our country. What do you think about that? Sort of similar to, like, when people were asking Hillary Clinton to, like, I don't know, trying to get her to compliment Trump and stuff. But, yeah, it didn't really make sense. But he's like, don't you think human trafficking is a problem? What do you think about these lawyers that do that? And then Clinton's lawyer interrupts here and goes, Cheryl Mills, oh, sorry, what? You're asking him about the lawyers?
Girls from Eastern Europe, other places around the world into prostitution, coming to this country.
Sorry, I'm just to clarify. You just want him to comment on that?
Yeah, I want you to comment. What do you think of these people?
So you're asking his
I don't
opinion.
like it.
What?
I don't like it, but I don't know much about it.
Would you think that? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting the hook. You know how it is. Saved by the bell. Well, why don't I finish that question? Do you think if lawyers help?
What a dumb question, Booker. You know when he says, I'm getting the hook, it's like the old school, like, vaudeville thing. It's like somebody's bombing on stage. You reach from behind the curtain with a hook, like a big shepherd's cane or something like that, like a shepherd's staff. You reach in with the thing and you hook them and you pull them off stage. So he's like, my time's up, I guess. I'm getting hooked here. I'm getting pulled off stage.
Legally or illegally, people come into this country for the purpose of prostitution, that they should be disbarred.
Should these lawyers who do this be disbarred?
Not unless it's illegal to do it. If you passed a law which said it was illegal to provide representation, notwithstanding the constitutional right to
You
get
think they're
one,
sleazy lawyers if they do it?
maybe
Can we
you
get you to
can.
say that? Sleazy lawyers? Say they're sleazy?
For the record, we think lawyers are fantastic.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I feel like that's such a weird moment. I mean, like, she's like, yeah, we think lawyers are bad. It's just like, why are you? I mean, yeah, you're a lawyer. I mean, I don't know. I guess you're joking around or whatever. Sure. I'm not saying that I don't recognize that you're just joking there. But, like, no. Doesn't that feel weird to be saying that then at this point? It's just like, I don't know. Like, listen, Cheryl, if you want to answer questions, why don't we ask you about Jurassic and your relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell? All right. Now, the next part right next is interesting. Okay, he's talking to a representative from Buffalo, New York. And he's like, oh, yes, I remember. I'll never forget the day, blah, blah, blah. What was it?
Recording from Buffalo. Oh my
I
goodness.
love Buffalo.
That's right. We say Buffalo, not New York.
Oh.
I love Buffalo.
You were there the day after you were acquitted, I remember.
Yes, and 20,000 people filled the
That
gym.
was a big
I'll
crowd.
never forget it.
Big news. Thank you very much, President.
Never forget it.
You are widely regarded across party lines as one of the most politically perceptive leaders of modern time. Yeah, you're
See, this is how you do it. This is how you interrogate Clinton, or like a lot of people who are like whatever, narcissistic. You talk about them and you say how great they are, and then you hit them with a question.
political instincts are very well documented, and your successes of your political career are well documented. How would you describe the substance of your conversations with Jeffrey Epstein during the many hours that you spent together on the aircraft?
Well, at first,
Like, this is a question he's been asked before, but now he's being asked it with a big preamble about how great he is.
he really seemed to be like a vacuum cleaner, like he really wanted information. And there was no, to go back to the business with what do you call it, the passport, the false line, there was nothing overtly manipulative about it. He wanted to know, what did I think of derivatives trading?
Okay.
Did I think the stock market was properly regulated, or did it need more? Is it just technology, or do we have specific policies? He wanted to know stuff like that. And it was great for the first, 2 or 3, 4 or 5 conversations. But I could tell that.
See, like, this is interesting, right? He's opening up a little bit. He's not just going, I don't remember, I forget. All you got to do is tell him he's amazing. Oh, you're an inspiration. Oh, I remember when you came to Michigan, blah, 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 blah. What did you and Epstein talk about? Like, what was it like? What was the conversations like in that time? He's like, yeah, I remember we talked about derivative trading and this and that. And it's like, okay, like, this actually seems like he's telling the truth here. They got, like, because we know Epstein was trying to talk to him about this type of shit from that letter from Lynn Forrester in, the 1995 or whenever that was. So yeah, this seems true. And like, I do also find it interesting that he describes Epstein as, he was like a vacuum cleaner. Like, he was just trying to vacuum up information. Just trying to get, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Just trying to learn about what I thought and like how our organization worked. Like, I find this part very interesting. That's right. Yeah. Epstein claims to have invented the derivatives market. That is right. Because Doug Band is one of the guys who his whole strategy with Epstein has been like similar to like Eric Weinstein, right? Where he's like, as soon as I met him, I was like, this guy sucks. And I warned Bill to stop hanging out with him, and he wouldn't listen. Because I knew I got that fucking sixth sense. I'm like, you know what? This guy is definitely an elite pedophile sex trafficker. Definitely. I knew it. Just from my first conversation with him, because he said he invented the derivatives market. I was like, what the fuck? No, you didn't. You haven't done that. Nuh-uh. So, I mean, yeah, it seems like that's what he was talking about. At least. Interesting. Yeah. Probably the best American politician in modern history. He's up there. Personally, I put Obama above him as more skilled. But they're in the same league, honestly. They're comparable. I'm born in 89, so when Clinton was really doing his thing, I wasn't paying that much attention to politics. But when Obama was, I was like, an adult, basically. So I have a lot more experience of seeing Obama speak on TV and stuff and being like, oh, this guy's really good at this. Who was the last really skilled Republican politician? So Mark's saying Reagan, unless you consider W, shit president, but he was charming. His charm is different from Clinton. W is charming because he's stupid. Yeah, people kept saying during the election in 2000, like, out of Al Gore and Bush, which one would you rather have a beer with? I think that's where that term came from. Which candidate would you rather have a beer with? And obviously, you'd rather have a beer with Bush than Gore. And like, I think that's true. He had that kind of like affable, like, whatever, party frat boy kind of energy. But no, though, like, to say he was like a skilled politician, W? No. He was likable. He had like charisma. But you look at guys like Obama or Clinton, they've got charisma and they have like incredible political instincts. W had constantly fucked up, hurt his numbers. You could argue Trump, I guess. I mean, after almost being shot, your first thought was to get up and yell fight with your fist in the air. That's politician shit. Yeah, agreed. And yes, Finland, Trump does have a showman's sense. Absolutely. Trump knows how to get publicity. I think Trump, his brain doesn't fully work, right? He's a complete idiot. But he has instincts, and he's just such a piece of shit that he just instinctively lies and whatever, does things. And he speaks in a very entertaining way. He absolutely has like massive amount of a certain type of charisma that allows him to, even though he himself is a fucking elite piece of shit billionaire rapist, he is that. He is able to convince people that he is this like outsider to this elite world, and it's like he's closer to being like, working class. He's able to do that because of the way he talks is so different from how most billionaires talk, I guess. He seems real. He seems like he'd chug a beer and whatever, watch NASCAR or something, whatever. You know what I mean? He wouldn't do either of those things. He watched wrestling. He seems to really like wrestling a lot. Maybe he has like kind of like WWE charisma. But I wouldn't say he's skilled. I mean, his record-breaking low approval ratings right now would suggest that he's not as skilled a politician as Clinton or Obama. Like Clinton, even when this guy was getting impeached and shit, approval ratings were kind of high. People were like, I don't care. I don't care that he fucked an intern, a 20-year-old intern or however old Monica Lewinsky was. I don't care. He's a good president and he's cool. There was a feminist magazine, I forget which one. Feminist magazine published an article during the whole Monica Lewinsky scandal that was basically like a bunch of feminists being like, I would fuck Bill Clinton. Yeah, he's hot. I would fuck, yeah. A feminist magazine said this. 90s were a different time. But like this dude does have like a cultivated, political ability. Same with Obama. I personally would put Obama higher than Clinton. But yeah, I mean, like H.W. Bush, he does not have it. Reagan, I mean, I guess, but again, Reagan didn't really know what was going on, right? They called him the great communicator. He was good at getting the message out there. Biden, absolutely not. No charisma. Kamala, fuck no. Has there been a skilled Republican politician? I'm looking for like a combination of skill and charisma, like a truly excellent politician in the way that I would categorize people like Clinton, Obama, JFK. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to think of it. Yeah, if we go back, yeah, Eisenhower, Ford, Reagan is definitely number one out of all those guys. Last Republican president comes closest, Teddy Roosevelt, probably. That's some food for thought. I'll think about it. He was talking about what Epstein was like
that. And it was great for the first, 2 or 3, 4, or 5 conversations. But I could tell that it was like, you guys are in politics. Don't you ever feel like sometimes somebody's talking to you and then they're just checking the box and they got to go do something else and be somebody else? That's the way I felt.
Interesting.
It was like a superficial kind of conversations. That sounds so true, right? He's a con man, Epstein, at his core. He's conning people. He's trying to learn about them. Like, if he wants to know anything from you, it's just so that he can manipulate you later on. And he's mostly talking to you to make you feel good, to make you associate him with whatever. Oh, he's an inquisitive guy. He's a smart guy. But he isn't actually really interested in what he's talking about. I don't know. I mean, like, hey, listen, I know Bill Clinton lies all the time, obviously, as I've said earlier on this very stream, but this feels honest to me. This I don't know, it rings true. We do also have where he gets asked about what his job was. Let's check it out.
Of our stock market and or derivative trading. Did he, on a number of occasions, come back to that and maybe pick your brain about policy or future policy here in the United States?
No more than any other big issue. I knew that, everybody lives in New York with money, and he made his money advising Les Wexner, so he had to be interested in markets.
Okay, and then I know that Ghislaine was a little bit more probably chatty with you. Did she ever share a similar interest to Mr. Epstein on economics or political topics of discussion? Were there any reoccurring topics that you felt that she was wanting to focus on?
Not that I noticed.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Yeah, see? Not a very detailed answer there, right? It's kind of crazy. Wild, gang. But yeah, overall, I feel like that was, for the most part, pointless, if I'm being honest. I didn't really learn much. There were a couple interesting questions, I suppose, but just looking at the coverage of this, it just makes me shake my head. Like, the Hillary one, people are so much more interested in, even though it's just completely useless information. She's repeatedly saying, no, I don't know that. I didn't know him. I never met him. I don't know anything. I don't know him. No. And then people will be like, oh, you never met him, eh? Well, how often did you talk to him? Once a week or more? And she's like, no, I didn't. I didn't know him. And how many times did you go to his house? I never went to his house. And how many times did you ride on his plane? I did. It's just like such a waste of time. And then, Boebert comes in there with like her fucking, and what's your favorite type of ketchup to put on a dead baby's head before you drink the chrome out of it? This one was useless, and the Clinton one was almost useless, even though I would bet Clinton actually knows some shit about Epstein that he's not sharing. The questions they ask, mostly useless, but I do think the way to do it is to butter them up and then go in for the kill. There's a couple of times where people did that. I think a few people have figured that out about Clinton. There's a couple of times in this thing, aside from the one I showed, where people kind of, oh, you're great. You're so smart. Oh, man, you're a genius. And then they're like, how many times did you ride that jet? Or whatever. The Bill one was definitely more interesting. But honestly, if you're going to watch one of these fucking 5-hour things, the Wexner one has so much more relevant shit in it. Come on now. You can tell why Bill's a better politician. I guess. He does have the riz. I think a lot of it is lost, though, now that he's old. He's old, he talks slower, but also he looks different. There's a thing before, he was just being like a handsome white guy got him pretty far. Looking you in the eye or whatever. Like everything that Clinton was able to do, Obama did as a black guy. that's gotta be some, different level of skill there, right? Yeah.